That's fantastic. And right before that, at the last campfire that they have, he says, what's he say?
We blew it?
We blew it. He's about to blow up, so literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, he blew it, And that's what I was thinking about in terms of the movie itself. Like, what does it say about the hippie culture? What does it say about Americans? They blew it, meaning, what did we even do? We thought that we were going to sell cocaine, make a bunch of money, drive to Florida, live our lives happily ever after. All for what? We're still playing the game. This is all bought and sold by the same hands. You know what I mean? It's all through the same process. What's the real escape? I mean, it doesn't give you an answer, but it does say that if you go hard in that direction, that's still not going to be worthwhile. So there is no answer here, but it is at least exposing the American myth, and then recognize that if you're cut from that American cloth, then you're a part of it. There's nothing you can do. You're part of it. You're part of it.
Yeah, some things change, some things stay the same, and the things that they were feeling that made them want to make this movie and express their discontent with American society. You can relate, even if I don't identify necessarily with these characters in this film. I see where they're coming from. And yeah, you might want to go to the film experts for your opinions on big zeitgeisty movies from the end of the 60s, but some like it unauthorized. And I am Jay Brooks Young.
And I'm Zach Tomes.
And we are talking about Easy Rider, directed by Dennis Hopper, starring Hopper and Peter Fonda and the fresh Jack Nicholson. This 1969 film that exploded and really kind of was the final nail to the studios, to the old way of doing things. And they said, yeah, I guess we just got to put all our chips on these young kids making movies now. Yeah, this thing was huge. And I had never seen it before. You hear about the reputation, but it's really something to watch the first time, and I'll get into my watch experience. But I want to know though, what was your relationship to the film before, Zach?
I was trying to remember if my memory was correct here, and this might be mythologized now in my struggle to remember it exactly, but I think I saw it when I was living at a Franciscan retreat center, and one of the brothers there recommended that we watch this. We watched Harold and Maude, and then we watched this movie at some point, and it blew my mind. Partly because of what it's doing in the film, and partly because the context of watching this in a Catholic kind of very liberal Catholic center, but sort of bizarre. I appreciated it a lot, and we had a lot of fun when we watched it, but I didn't remember a whole lot of it, and so rewatching it was quite fun. I think it's fun. You'll see a lot of people react and just say this is kind of interminable and really annoying and a lot of things. I think it's fun. There's certainly unintended comedy things that I just laughed at so much, but what surprised me is how professionally shot it is. The photography is gorgeous and very new, very of the times. Mm-hmm. Yeah, many great sunsets. They're waiting till sunset to shoot some shots. They're getting silhouettes, and it's all like what you would see in a movie theater. It's an actual movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like cutting edge. This low light photography. The color is crazy. It feels like they are intentionally color grading it in certain ways that was still not really the norm, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the great, yeah, you get, I think the reputation as I received it was that this was these guys kind of fucking around. But there are so many professionals behind the scenes of this film that really poured themselves into it, and it shows, and it's what came out is incredible, I think, because you have such a great team actually working on this film.
Yeah, it's something closer to, like, I think of like a festival that's well managed and well run, but the artists who are at the festival are, they're singing new songs that are like Jimi Hendrix or people like that. And people attending are kind of, they're all smoking dope and just hanging out. But the festival itself is well run, and you compare that to something like Woodstock that broke down and almost basically collapsed under the weight of itself. This isn't Woodstock. This is a well run, well managed machine that they're just showcasing a different world from within that context.
Yeah, the guys sort of at the helm behind the scenes, the producers, Bert Schneider and Bob Rafelson, primarily, like they were industry guys. They had kind of been working for a while, and they really sort of broke out when they decided to produce this TV show about a sort of fictitious band based on kind of the Beatles, sort of kind of trying to copy that formula in a way and try to like poke fun at it. And they made this group the Monkees, which instead of it really being a parody, it just became really popular. They had like huge, charting hits, but that kind of wasn't what they were going for. And I think they kind of set their sights elsewhere. They make a film Head with the Monkees, I guess, which sort of flops. But they keep on moving, and this film, this idea to give Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper the funds to go make their goofy motorcycle film. This is like, I don't know, it's they had an idea that it could be successful because Fonda had starred in a motorcycle film that Roger Corman directed just a couple of years ago, The Wild Angels. Also, they make The Trip. Roger Corman and Fonda make The Trip, which is kind of a take on psychedelics and sort of the precursor to the acid trip sequence in this film. But, those did pretty well in that sort of indie, I don't know, underground-ish realm in films. But this is like, I don't know if they anticipated that this film would blow up the way it did. This is really the underground becoming mainstream in a sense. Like all of those types of films that had been circulating kind of in the B movie area in the 50s and 60s. Now this is center stage, and there's a huge audience for it.
Yeah, and then I want to get into a little bit of the kind of meta analysis of how the film itself is commenting on that very thing you're kind of talking about, in my opinion. So yeah, appreciate all that. You're always good at all this research, man. I'm curious what your thoughts are now at this point. What your experience was.
So I texted you. I was like, "Do I need to get high to watch this film?"
Yeah, or do the podcast.
Or do the podcast. Yeah, I think I need to have a clear head for this one. But yeah, man, I lit up. I sparked up. I had a nice tall can of the devil's piss, man. I was putting it down. And I fired this film up, and it took me on a ride, man.
Yeah, man.
I had a real good time. It was a lot of fun.
It's the only way to do it. I mean, it really is the only way to watch this film, I think.
It was terrific because I put myself in the space of time, the time space of when this came out. And it was crazy. Like, imagine going to the theater. Maybe you didn't see those other films, those motorcycle films or whatever, One of those is going to be your first time seeing a crazy film like this, something that's doing weird Godardian editing and all kinds of stuff. But if this was your first time, it would blow your mind. It really would. The music with that first needle drop, the pusher, that song comes on. They start driving down the highway. It's this gorgeous color photography. It looks like one of these travelogue films that people used to go to. You're on cloud nine. Like, I can see why everyone wanted to go to this at the time. It's amazing. And like I was saying before, like, it's shot really well. This guy, the cinematographer, Laszlo Kovacs, is a real professional. Like, we've got, like, tracking shots, just right from the beginning when they go to do this drug deal. Like, the shots tracking past all these, like, beat up cars and stuff as they walk over to meet this guy. It's like, what? This is a professional film. It's crazy. And the whole way through,
Sure,
I was like,
yeah.
It's great. It's great.
I know. Yeah, they're like, I mean, they're doing the drug deal next to an airport, and the sound of the planes is never too loud, but it is definitely loud, as it would be. And they have to get shots of planes flying over, so they're timing all their shots and sequencing that in a way that feels alive, feels real.
Yes, and again, the editing too is really, really well done. Apparently, like, yeah, Dennis Hopper was trying to do all the editing, and they had to kick him out at some point, bring in some professionals. But they split the middle, whatever that phrase is. Mm-hmm. It's really weird, but yeah, like that drug deal they do with the eccentric guy in his limo at the airport. The editing on that is terrific, and you've got this wordless thing where he's testing the coke in their pickup truck, and it's just like cutting back and forth. They're watching him, these wordless exchanges. It's really well edited, and I like just how that little scene opens with Peter Fonda like watching the plane go overhead, because it feels like he's still high from when they were picking up the drugs, or he just smoked a bunch of weed that morning or something, if this is a different day. But they capture these little moments that make it feel very real. And like, yeah, in a sense, right, like supposedly they were just doing all these drugs that you see in the film constantly. Like, that was for real. But like, whether or not you consider it a performance, like, they had to, stop and start and get these shots. And this isn't like a documentary, like they kind of just grabbed it as they were going. Like, they made a professional shoot of this. So it's incredible kind of the performances that these guys are giving, and that you get all these little details of him. He's just like high watching these planes go by, or, the night or the morning after they go and sleep in the desert, and he's like gazing up at the sun through this dilapidated like shed. There's a lot of sort of texture to the performances but in a professional way, where it's really interesting, and it's like well done. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in some of those vignettes, there's nothing really happening, is what I found watching it this time, and that's not a bad thing in its context. In 1969, a major motion picture where there's so many moments where nothing really happens at all, and the characters barely say anything meaningful at all. But it's like, what makes those scenes actually meaningful, despite their total lack of any essence, is that itself is a statement of some kind. I mean, these are people who are just out, rambling across the desert, the Western America landscape, and getting high and living off their cocaine money. And when they have a conversation, that it's it's totally pointless and meaningless. It's just hanging out. And yeah, you have this like contrast between these guys who don't seem like very great guys. They're like they're very selfish in some sense, and they're tapped out at this point from all things, right? Not just American society, but even the hippie culture. They're pretty tapped out from that, so they're just rambling. But all of that kind of says a lot in some way. It's hard to really get to. But I think what it is it's really showcasing what does America actually mean at this point. Because one thing I'm thinking of now is that his motorcycle and his jacket are American flags. I love that fact that the whole thing's encased in American attire, American symbolism. Which, of course, we get to that famous line, which we can get to once we get there in the story about freedom and what that means. But yeah, I think after they sell the cocaine, they stuff their dollar bills into a tube, which is in the gas tank,
and yes, the like very sort of what's a good word for it? But just like this close shot of the motorcycle, it's like shiny and polished and. Just we're in a super tight close up of him putting the money into the tube. It looks it's like pornographic. We're just like, yes, this motorcycle is incredible. Look at it. And it's it's so indulgent. It becomes hilarious.
Yes. I know it really is at that point. I think. You begin to realize that a lot of this is just going to be funny. You can't really take any of this seriously at all. And so that's why To Be High is really the best viewing experience, because you will just kind of be enjoying each scene as it is.
Yes, there's so much sort of subtext of what these guys are trying to say versus like what it says about them that they want to project this image. Just like when they're driving down the road and Peter Fonda's got just the one hand on the handlebars and he's just like leaned back trying to look as cool as possible. It's great. And again, like this is the Nepo baby, to use our modern parlance. This is Henry Fonda's son, but he's a rebel. He doesn't want to be like his straight-laced dad. He's too cool. He's out there on the bike. He's doing coke in a major motion picture, which, again, just for our project, how we've watched these films chronologically from our list, it's incredible to get to this film and see just in the first 2 minutes someone doing coke.
Right.
Like, wake up, America. This is on your silver screens now. We don't care.
And yeah, I mean, if you've never seen the movie before, you would expect a lot of weed smoking, but for them to do coke in 1969, I found that I was like, wow, that is sort of ahead of the curve a little bit there. Of course, there was people were doing it, but it's gonna be the more fascinating drug in the later 70s and 80s. So yeah, first 5 minutes, here we go, and then we hit the road.
They pick up the stranger.
Yes,
is that what happens?
Yeah, they pick up the stranger, strange guy.
And I was aware that Nicholson was in this. I didn't know when he was going to come in. At first, I thought this was him from the kind of long shot, and I was like, that's an incredible intro. If that's because this guy, I think Luke Askew is the actor, actually. But it's an incredible getup that he's got, the kind of like John Lennon like mustache thing going on, and
right,
these clothes and stuff, and
bandana.
yeah. It's
that whole sequence where where he's camping with them and they're out by the bonfire, and they get I mean, it's a very stony conversation. I love that conversation. He's like, yeah, you better respect, you better have some respect because you're on top of them right now. And he's literally like, what are you talking about? He's like, they're buried beneath you, man. Like those kind of sequences are just, yeah,
I
just
know,
perfect.
and yeah, like where are you from? And he's just like a city.
Yeah, it's too hard to
Like no,
say.
just tell us, man. Like, are you? We want to know if you're a murderer. Like,
Yeah. And it's mostly just between Fonda and him. That other guy, that other character doesn't say much. He just has a look. He's always looking around, thinking all the time.
well, are you? Isn't it Hopper that's
Yeah,
really?
I'm
getting
just mean
into it?
the character himself. Just the character is just a thoughtful, pensive character. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of. And there's. I mean, I don't know what you do with it. Like, these guys suck. I had this. So, if we can kind of step back, like.
Mm-hmm.
When we watched Don't Look Back, the Bob Dylan documentary,
Yeah.
I had this experience seeing these guys walk around and seeing his agent on negotiating these deals for him to perform, and seeing how Bob would like get into arguments with these reporters who were really just like trying to goad him into arguments and being really dismissive. Like, I get this feeling of like everyone at this time feels like a bad person. I know that's not the case, but like the times have changed so much that we sort of forget how much casual bigotry and sexism and rude behavior, but like all these things were how people were kind of raised and how they acted in a sense. I don't know. It feels like such a different world when you get a kind of look into it, like in a documentary or something. So, when we're watching a film like this, I'm thinking, yeah, I don't like these guys. I don't want to endorse who they are, sort of on camera or behind the camera or any aspect of that. That it's pretty plain that they were bad guys. They were horrible to women, all these things, and in a lot of these cases. So there's sort of a conversation to have here about like, I don't even know how to wrap this back into the film, but like, well, they visit this like farmer at one point who's got this like young Mexican wife, and like we're sort of depicting this kind of casual white supremacy, really, this sort of like Western settler mentality type thing of like, go out there and find you a woman and be fruitful, start having a bunch of babies and just take up space as a white person in the West, this sort of manifest destiny thing that has been learned and perpetuated for, generations. Like, we're seeing these remnants of these thoughts or these things going on, and these guys, they're just kind of living out their cowboy fantasies in a sense. This is kind of like a Western, and like it's consciously wants to kind of be a Western. I know I'm hopping all over the place.
No, I like it. I appreciate
right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. I appreciate that it was easy to key into that and think about like, what was the culture? What was the counterculture at that time? Because in a sense, like, yeah, these guys are going against society, but they are still perpetuating a lot of really bad stuff and not examining a lot of really bad stuff. But it's interesting and it's useful that we can see that in this film. We can kind of get an idea of what people were like, what the culture was like at this time. And it's not really sanitized. Like we can actually, grapple with it when we watch a film like this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and these have to be thoughts that occur to us all the time as we watch movies, right? Just kind of questioning the morality that was showcased and the fact that we still look back at these things I'd watch these films that were showcasing morality that was very different from ours now. But I come back to this notion of that I've mentioned before of like films being a kind of collective dream, and like Buñuel is going to showcase literally what he's dreamt of. And so you could say you could watch a movie like The Holy Mountain or something by Buñuel or something like that. It could be utterly insane, show some terrible things, Pasolini, for example. But the purpose of it is to reckon, right? If it's showing us terrible stuff, things that are not good, and in this case, I say, like, part of the reason why they could get away with it is that they die at the end, right? They don't survive, so they're killed. So that's part of the reason why they can do that. You could say, oh yeah, well, they're bad guys. Well, look what happens to them, What would be crazy is if they did all these things and at the end they just drive off into the horizon. They make it to Florida and they live happily ever after. Even then, you would say, oh, well, but they won't have good lives. They'll be lives devoid of any substance and things like that. It's something to reckon with. And like I say, like a dream, because with a dream, you have images and experiences that occur to you that you have no control over. And you have to reckon with them. You could dream something absolutely horrible and you go, well, what the hell was that for? You have to process it. And so movies that are really, really good are ones that are dark, go to dark places, and then we all have conversations about, like, what the fuck was that? That wasn't great, right? But why wasn't it great? Here's why I think it wasn't, or here's why I think it wasn't. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of a whiplash to it, too, just when you get to the end of the 60s here.
Yeah.
Because now suddenly this stuff isn't being handled with the kiddie gloves by the Hollywood Hays Code. Like, we're really going to get to look at this stuff, and a lot of critics at the time didn't know what to do with these films. I'm thinking about, like, Dirty Harry, right? Like, there were a couple of critics that were like, this is like kind of a fascist film. Like, this cop, is going against the rules and he gets to kill the bad guy and, be the hero. But it's an opportunity to think about, what is there an impulse for some people just want to go over society and do their own thing. And like, there's a lot there for us to think about in that film, or in this film. Like, yeah, it's a little more challenging, but I think there is a big value in it, like you just said.
I mean, and one of the things that I think society has had to learn about itself in terms of this type of art and film being available to especially teens or younger minds is, like, for the most part, teens will kind of sneak in or go see some of these films, and I'm sure this was the case. They'd sneak in to see films like this, and then they may get caught by their parents, and the parents find out that they went to go see Easy Rider or whatever it might be, and their teen gets in trouble for doing that, maybe, or whatever might be the case. But what happens? What ultimately happens? Like, for the most part, aside from some consequences where somebody may go too deep into drugs or stuff like that, like, for the most part, most teens just go to these movies for fun. They get shocked by it. It's kind of crazy. They get giggly and giddy and all that stuff, and then they go back to school the next day and they're like, do their homework, because they know most teens are, if you're taught by your parents, whatever, stick to your thing and do what you have to do to go on. But some teens will wake up and they'll become artists because of this or whatever. My point is, like, aside from some tragic paths that may or may not be caused by this type of media, most kids just go, oh, that was cool, that was fun, and they go back to living their normal life, And so I think society realized, oh yeah, like, this can't be that bad, because we kept saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. I think of the crazy things that in the 1920s parents wouldn't let their kids do compared to, like, the 60s. It's insane. And little by little, parents just kept realizing, oh, I guess it is fine. And now, what's off limits at this point, for, like, a family to go see. I mean,
Yeah. We've almost gone so far from when the media was really scapegoated. Now the kids themselves police these films. They don't,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, right.
like they talk about Gen Z doesn't like sex scenes in films. It always feels like skeevy to them. It's
Yeah, I know. It's like culture just keeps changing. So then the artists keep making things, and then everybody responds. And literally, I mean, everybody literally responds as though it's some kind of like accidental imagination, you know? Because what are you going to do about it? This person, this group of people made a film, and it's so well done in the sense that, like you said, it's well produced, it's well filmed, it's, you know, and it's worthy of being sent into cinemas. What are you going to do? You know, at this point, you can't stop it. So go watch it and react and see how you feel. And it's going to cycle back and forth. It's going to cycle forever. So, yeah.
And let me tell you, I felt some kind of way when they take the stranger back to his like commune that he's got.
Yeah.
Because so this film came out like a month or two before the Charles Manson murders happened,
Right.
but it's big Manson vibes. It's like he's got like a harem. He's like leading these kids who all came out here from the city or something. Basically, they're all doing free labor. And there's that like part where they're all at like the dinner table, and it goes past all of them. There's so many people. There's so many mouths to feed. I'm thinking like, these people are going to starve out here. How are you going to, you're certainly not planning enough food for all these people, you know, let alone waiting for this harvest to come in or whatever. They're all going to starve out here. This I don't know. It's a really crazy part. And it does, yeah, it's like, it's not glorifying what they're doing out there. The guys are kind of like, this is weird what's going on. We should probably go. We should go. I love like Dennis Hopper. Just when he starts getting bad feelings, he's like, we gotta go now, man. Like he's always dragging Peter Fonda out of there. But
that is a crazy part. And I was wondering about that. I'm guessing there was probably a connection. I bet that Hopper knew Manson or knew of Manson. So that's really wild to sneak that in there. And in a way that's like, yeah, interesting place, but yeah, we're not going to stay, and we're going to continue on. We're going to keep going. And it doesn't, you know, I think it's even a little lower than neutral. I think that it definitely doesn't, you know, show it in a very bright light because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, they're going to starve. So
yeah. But they're what these guys got in their head is they're going to take two girls out of here, and those girls want to leave. They're probably not having a great time, so they're like, yeah, well, let's go drive out and skinny dip and have a good time, you know?
Yeah.
It's always one of them like ask for his horoscope, like it's good, you know, we're seeing kind of what
astrology being made fun of even in 1969. So funny. What's your sign? I knew it was that.
Yeah. And then I didn't really understand what was going on, where they go back and talk to him again, and then the girls are gone, and they drive behind this parade and get pulled over and thrown into jail. I didn't really understand how we got from point A to point B there, but that's where they end up. Did that make sense to you?
No, not really. I didn't know what was going on. I thought they were just going back to say goodbye, maybe, and then they're just having fun with the parade people, and because they're having fun in a kind of mockery sort of way, the cops get upset, and I think that's your first link to the cops that they're going to come across. Like that's your first like sort of sign of being in like a small town area still. Like you can't just do anything you want, and there's a police force. They're ready to, you know, do whatever they want at any time.
Yeah, and that you're going to get targeted.
Yeah.
In some way. Everyone's kind of given them a look so far. whether it was down in Mexico. I assume they're in Mexico when they pick up the drugs at the start, and everyone's just staring at these hippie biker guys.
Mm-hmm.
Or when they pull into the horse farm to fix their bikes in a very obvious, like, our bikes are like our horses, man. This is like a Western, man, like, metaphor thing. But the
Right, or
cowboys are
when
just
they...
gawking.
Yeah. They also pull into the hotel that says vacant, and then the guy's like, no, actually there is no vacancy.
Yeah. But yeah, this lands them in jail, and they meet this small-time lawyer, I guess, played by Jack Nicholson. This guy
working for the ACLU.
Yeah, but he's a heavy alcoholic, I guess. He spends a lot of nights in the tank.
So well done. So
incredible.
Well done. I saw that he had many roles before this, but this feels like one of the first major roles.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was mostly the B-movie stuff. He might have been in some of those Roger Corman films, but this is him. He's going to get an Oscar nomination off of this. Like, he's going to be a star now.
Wow.
Yeah, he does so many things. I can't even bring them all to mind in this film. It's an incredible performance. It really is a performance where he's this weird guy he's living the American dream. He's got his old, like, football gear. That's his helmet for riding on the motorcycle. Like, he's doing it the right way, but it's not satisfying him because he's fallen into heavy alcoholism, and so they're gonna turn him on to a different way of living.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget the name because Jack Kerouac wrote. He used pseudonyms for his characters. So Dean Moriarty in On the Road is who was the beat that was like driving the bus. He was the crazy speed demon guy of the bunch. Neil Cassidy. This guy is a lot. He reminds me of Neil Cassidy because he is still connected to his roots where he comes from, but he doesn't really belong where he comes from. He's like one of them, just he never made it out to where they live. He didn't make it to LA or New York or a hippie commune, and yet he is free and he has these philosophies and these like thoughts, So yeah, he's like living the American dream, like you said, but that's just a shell. What's within is really like kind of like a hippie guy, who's just like, yeah, he's just alive. He's totally alive.
Yeah, and he's a real character. It's hard, yeah. Part of it feels like they're saying, this life, this American life that we've been prescribed doesn't work for anybody, really, but he's also this very eccentric guy who's ready to just like unload all his philosophies and stuff and kind of go crazy. So he doesn't feel like he stands in for regular people necessarily. No. Also, it's kind of a weird conflict there between what I felt like they were trying to say and how strange he actually is. Doesn't he, when he pulls the like fifth out of liquor, doesn't he like cheers to D.H. Lawrence, that like writer of Lady Chatterley's Lover and other very kind of explicit novels that were banned for a long time in the US.
Right.
Like he's a weirdo, this guy.
He is. But it was relatable in a way. Kind of, I'm not that weird, but I do sometimes feel like I am.
And, yeah. And also we're getting some of these needle drops now are like explicitly jokes, right? Because what is it that plays when it cuts to them, the three of them on the bikes? It plays something funny. Well, there's the Don't Bogart That Joint song, which plays immediately after someone like, asking him to pass it because he's been holding on to it too long. Like, just an observation. It's funny that some of these songs are used just for comedic effect, but then they like the whole song will play and it kind of wraps back around to being weirdly beautiful and kind of like we're experiencing some durational cinema or something. It's not just like a music video. We're like starting to you were starting to enter that transcendental cinema space of like wondering what are these guys, what are their lives like? They're just out here. It's got to be so boring sometimes, driving for so long, and I don't know. Yeah. And the sci-fi movie stuff too. Well, the UFO stuff. Someone's talking about seeing a craft, change directions in midair, and I'm thinking that sci-fi movies have rotted everyone's brains or something. Not seriously, but I don't know. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part's great because that's the part where Jack Nicholson's going to do weed. His character's going to do weed for the first time, and I really appreciated that part because they're showcasing exactly how that's going to happen. Right? He's like, you got to try it, man. He's like, no. And then he asks him, he goes, well, what do you think it's going to do? And he goes, well, I think it's going to be this or that. And he's like, well, just see for yourself, and he convinces him to do it. I love that. And then he's like, well, you got to breathe it deeper into your lungs. Because he takes a small hit. He's like, oh, that'll be good for me. He's like, no, man. So then they get high and they start talking about sci-fi stuff. Yeah. And then then it's Nicholson's character that really goes off on the philosophical tangent of what that might mean. And then that's, it might not be that conversation or the next campfire, but yeah, that's when he says there's two different types of freedoms, basically. And and if you're not the right kind of free, then they'll make sure you are. Living the right way.
Yeah. There's like, this is not a clear sort of actionable philosophy. It's just guys ranting and trying to put words to why everything feels bad. And I don't know. It's interesting because they're not approaching the film from a place of like, we found the answers. They're just trying to feel it out in a sense. It made me think of something like My Dinner with Andre. Like, that's how we get to a film like that, where, the whole film can just be a conversation of some guys just, like, trying to feel out, what's going on in the world.
Right. Oh, yeah. But, and I know what you mean, and that is true. And again, that's, it's doing a lot by saying nothing. Because it's like a fuck you to the system, the Hollywood system, everything, by doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
But he, in that moment, he says something like that that the police or, the traditional folks, they're not scared of them. They're scared of what they represent, which I found that to be the little bit of wisdom that was worth seeing and witnessing at the time, probably, especially, like, what the hippies were doing it is truly what they were representing, the kind of freedom they were representing. Because it's this weird clash of like, it seems like the most American thing would be to do whatever's new and interesting. It seems like that was it's always been like a foundation of American culture, to do the new, interesting thing. Ken Kesey said that. That's part of why he did the magic bus and the Kool-Aid acid test, all that. That's why he drove across the country. He didn't just do it because he thought it'd be fun. He had this whole principle and idea that it was like the most American thing he could possibly do. And I found that to be a very interesting way of putting it. It's the most American thing to do. And as he drove around the country, he found that most Americans were shocked and afraid. And it's like, it's so wild that this country that's full of different ideas, and it's a country that founds itself on being able to be freely expressive and free thinking, gets scared when some new idea comes around.
Yeah, well, these are the contradictions that you find certainly in fascism, but there's a conservatism as well, a competing conservatism.
Right.
You're telling people, yes, you're free, and yes, you're, every experience is afforded to you because you're the best, you're free, you're American, but at the same time, you're Christian, you should be a good person, and a good person means dressing a certain way and acting a certain way and cutting your damn hair, all these things. So...
Right. The Puritans versus the...
But it's, that when they go to the diner and sit down and those guys are under their breath kind of bullying them and calling them names, Yankee queers and things like this. It was an incredible display of like how sort of a group ostracizes, someone that the group doesn't like. It really felt like I'm watching like a sociology video or something. Like, this is how it happens, and there's something kind of just animalistic about this, and it's frightening because of that. It's like you're seeing the group think and how these guys sort of goad each other into taking part in this ostracization that's happening. But at the same time, I love that we're also seeing that, these guys, what they represent is, going against the norm, but they're into high school girls. So we're going to see that they're really hoping that maybe they can take some of these girls with them, but they're not going to be able to because these guys are watching. We're seeing both sides of who these guys are,
Right. Yeah, they have no morals. They have no principles. They're just living in a way that is the most free and without causing too much trouble. Yeah. No, they're not. They're not role models.
Oh man. But you hate to see it, folks. You hate to see guys get beaten with bats in their sleeping bags in the middle of the night. You hate to see it, folks.
Yeah, not good.
My God.
Not good. Because then then it's the case that although these main characters don't have principles, well, neither does the law enforcement apparently. So we're really out in the Wild West again, aren't we?
I mean, I thought that they were dead when this happens, and it's trippy. It is truly trippy because it feels like they might have died at this point, but they're gonna, in the next scenes, they're gonna be fine, and they're gonna just continue on down to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. But it's very easy. I think they leave it open for you to interpret this as like they died here. Like this was actually...
Nicholson does die, his character.
I guess so, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Nicholson's character dies. I agree with you. I thought they all died. I for sure thought all of them died.
But yeah, Fonda too. He takes just as much.
Yeah, a beating. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Nicholson's character dies, and they mourn his death for about 5 seconds, and then they move on.
Yeah. And then it's to the brothel, and it's a amazing sequence because it's like Fonda is still kind of waking up from this horrible beating that they endured, and like this is not where you take someone to go recover from your wounds, but Dennis Hopper has decided the best thing for him is to be in a brothel.
Hey, to each their own, I guess, right?
And then we get this Mardi Gras footage, which was actually the first stuff that they shot, this 16 millimeter stuff in New Orleans, which is really incredibly shot. Like apparently it was a really tense and like unhappy shoot. This like 5 days or something that they shot in New Orleans and went into the cemetery and stuff. But what they got out of it and how this gets edited together. I mean, I was thinking Wong Kar-wai. I'm like, this stuff is really beautiful and kind of interesting in this stylistic way. And yeah, what that becomes when they trip acid and it's this crazy montage with the music and what's going on. It's really, really well made. I was extremely impressed with this part.
Yeah, it was like a documentary. It's like a documentary of them going there and actually experiencing it. And then it's shot almost all at night, but then that tail end of that sequence, it's shot in the day, which, I don't know how it was edited, but it feels like they edited it or shot it to show that it was sunrise. So they were there all night, and the sun was already coming up at the end.
Yeah. And what do you do? I mean, he's like, and they trip with these two women who they're sex workers, right? They've.
Well, we have the comments here that are worthwhile is that we started with cocaine. We've drank, of course, and we've done weed throughout. Now we're going to do the tabs of acid, most likely, that were given by the stranger that they picked up. We're going to finish this with an acid trip. So for being one of the first drug movies, they really kind of do it all to some extent.
Yes. And it's again, it's really incredibly edited together. The sound design is really well done. And there's something like where we are showing that these guys are not role models, not great guys, because like the one woman is like having a bad trip and he basically assaults her like in this cemetery. But the way that this is all flowing together, like they're all tripping and we're gonna go from bad trip to good trip, and it's there's a lot going on. It's so much to take in. I was gonna rewatch this just to try to wrap my head around it more. But one of the most incredible sequences that anyone's put in a big film like this to this point. It's weird to talk about. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna guess that the movie you already mentioned, The Trip, probably does things like this. Most likely had camera effects and editing that was psychedelic, which was written. Did you mention this that was written by Jack Nicholson? The Trip.
That's right. I didn't mention. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, these guys have all done these drugs, so they're all experienced. Like you even just said they were doing some of it while shooting. But Nicholson for sure must have been doing LSD if he wrote that and was in it and all those things. I think also Scorpio Rising, and you're right to say that there's nothing that's been done in a major film, but Scorpio Rising, I felt like the editing there was reminiscent, and I think that had an effect on Hopper, most likely that film. It had to have, right?
Yeah.
With its motorcycle montages and all those types of things, and just in the way that it's loosely edited and sketched and all that stuff. But I think what Hopper does ultimately is so shocking, and it puts an end to this film that is like, and it's such an unexpected twist there at the end when you're just kind of lazily wandering through the American landscape with no real coherency. And then at the end, they take this acid and they go, and it absolutely goes nuts. It goes to the dark. It goes from light kind of Coen brothers. What did they do? The dude, it's as light as the Big Lebowski. And then it turns into like freaking a horror film. Where Hopper himself is hugging desperately Mother Mary or some statue.
No, that's Fonda.
Oh, it's Fonda.
I think you've had them flipped. But yeah, that's Fonda.
Yeah. And he's desperately, saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. What have I done?" And they're all kind of desperate. This isn't a good trip that they've gone on. this isn't a good trip by any means.
No, yeah, and he's saying like, I hate you. Why did you leave me? I mean,
right.
The background story is supposedly that Hopper really, really pressured him to do this because in real life, Peter Fonda's mother had committed suicide after she had been institutionalized when he was like 10 years old.
Wow.
So there's like, there's something real to this performance. It feels like, but it also like the meta overlaps with the character. Like you understand why this guy is out here all alone, selling drugs and living on the edge, because there was some trauma in his past that really pushed him to want to get away from everything. And you know, you can go around being free and smoking all the weed you want, but when you take acid, when you are actually confronted with yourself and your past in a way that you can't look away from, it's harrowing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It will break you down. And it's crazy that they put that into a film.
Yeah. And I mean, just imagine some of the people who were going to see this movie probably had drugs with them and were taking drugs. So that's, you know, if you're thinking of somebody that's high watching that in 1969, yeah, up until, you know, the hour mark or whenever that sequence happens, you're just having a good time. But, you know, once that scene comes on and you're high as balls there in 1969 in that theater, holy shit. Yeah, that's revolution number 9, you know.
Yeah, boy. I watch this film and I see so much that's going to come down the pike.
Yeah.
Stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even like A Clockwork Orange. Like,
for sure.
We're blowing it all open and anything is going to be possible. Because you can point to this film and say, look, people went in droves to go see this crazy film. So just trust me, like I'm gonna take them there. And yeah, I can't believe that they get killed at the end in this sequence. And especially just Peter Fonda's bike like exploding into pieces right in that like last bit.
I know. It's fantastic. That's so
and
fantastic.
We realized that it was a premonition too, because you get that same shot where the like helicopter lifts out from his burning wreckage, and we recognize that they had cut that shot in earlier in the film. Yeah, it's crazy, but I had to laugh that he literally explodes at the end, you know? It's like we're tying it all back together. There's a death drive inside of Americans. They want to drive it till it explodes. I'm going crazy today, Zach. This film is something else.
It really is. Yeah. It does. It explodes. He's got an American leather jacket. He's got an American bike, and he drives it till it explodes. That's fantastic. And right before that, at the last campfire that they have, he says, what's he say?
We blew it?
We blew it. He's about to blow up, so literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, he blew it, you know? And that's what I was thinking about in terms of the movie itself. Like, what does it say about the hippie culture? What does it say about Americans? They blew it, meaning, what did we even do? We thought that we were going to sell cocaine, make a bunch of money, drive to Florida, live our lives happily ever after. All for what? We're still playing the game. This is all bought and sold by the same hands. You know what I mean? It's all through the same process. What's the real escape? I mean, it doesn't give you an answer, but it does say that if you go hard in that direction, that's still not going to be worthwhile. So I think that there's a meta thing going on there. Like the film itself is like a...
there's a self-reflection in what the film is saying, yeah.
Yeah. Like, is this the way to do it? To show this on a big screen, make a bunch of money from it, living in Hollywood, making movies, you know? Like, there is no answer here, but it is at least exposing the American myth of being like some perfect country. You're exposed to the flaws, and then recognize that if you're cut from that American cloth, then you're a part of it. There's nothing you can do. You're a part of it.
Yeah, that's why this is a great work of art, because it's sort of unresolvable.
Yeah.
And it's a testament that it made all that money. Like, it was, there's something, the art changes when so many people interface with it. But at the core, it's still saying, like, this is all rotten, It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think it's maybe you don't have a fun time watching it, and you're not even going to laugh at it, and it's just annoying to you, but I would not dismiss this film out of hand.
Yeah, and also watch it while high next time. Like,
yes, hello.
If you did, and if you do more, if you didn't do enough, like this is a
more.
This is a movie. Same thing would go for Fear and Loathing, in Las Vegas, or countless other drug movies. If you're watching that sober, that's fine. But movies, really, truly, movies like this deserve.
And look, if it's the white man. The white man-ness of the whole thing is too much for you. Next week, or it might be the week after if we do the PTA episode before that. But when we watch Funeral Parade of Roses, you will get a similar experience, but reflected through a queer lens. So, maybe that'll be more your speed than this film, but it's all worth something, and it's really, really interesting. God bless them for doing this crazy film.
Yeah, I mean, these white men, these wonderful white men, they blow up at the end. So I don't know, it's like they don't get out of it alive by the end. So stick around to the end to fully review a film, sort of thing.
Have we talked enough about the music? Apple Music is annoying. Like, they put the soundtrack on Apple Music, but they don't actually have the rights to all the songs. Half of them are grayed out. You can't listen to them from the soundtrack on here.
Wow, that's a bummer. Come on, Apple.
It's just goofy.
That is goofy. Yeah. And it's just based on the fact that you went with Apple a long time ago, and you've just stuck with it. And here I am with Spotify. I think I get them all. on Spotify.
Yeah. Are they all there?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I'm only seeing a playlist. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Soundtrack. Yep, they're all there. Time to move to Spotify, I think, Josh.
Yeah, now's the time. After whatever the most recent controversies were with them investing in Israel or whatever they're doing.
AI, yeah.
Some combination thereof.
Yes. Just sell your soul, I mean, how hard is that?
When the band came on with The Weight, I was pumping my fists. I've gotten so into the band, and I love hearing it. I can't believe that this music was in this film.
Yeah,
so many people went and saw this.
I know they were doing some at this point lesser known Jimi Hendrix songs. At the time, he was a huge star, but always good to hear Jimi. I think there was 2 songs by Jimi, maybe just one. Some Dylan.
Yes, and I guess they couldn't convince Dylan to put his own stuff on the soundtrack, but they were able to do the cover of It's All Right, Ma. Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good cover. Terrific song.
Yeah.
And he contributed some of Ballad of Easy Rider, who that same guy sings. Dylan contributed some lyrics for that. Crazy sound.
Jefferson Airplane, were they in that?
They were,
Yeah.
weren't they?
Yeah.
White Rabbit.
Yeah.
At least I'm seeing that here. Really good. I need to listen to some Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah. The Flying Burrito Brothers. I mean, you look back at things like this and you just wonder why the hell they didn't think to do these things before. It's so comical that they go, let's do this movie and see how people like it, and the people love it, as though you wouldn't have thought that to be true. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing to me.
Well, and putting the popular music into the film, right? Like The Graduate had done it with the Simon and Garfunkel stuff, but like, let's just put this thing wall to wall with all this rock music, like.
Right.
It's such a good time. And it's so fun when you're like in a theater, you're hearing this stuff blaring out through those speakers.
Theoretically, you could have a movie that it's just two guys driving across America. You have no idea where they're coming from, where they're going. And you've just got great music the whole way through. They stop a couple times at gas stations, at motels. They have conversations with each other. They keep riding. Long sequences of just across the expanse, blazing their 60s music, And that's it. There's just an hour and a half of just that. And that would be fun. But they don't do that. They do more than just that. And so there you go. A wonderful piece of art that isn't just fun, but is asking questions and doing interesting things. Easy Rider, folks.
Boom.
Now go get stoned.
Yeah.
Funeral Parade, I'm excited, man. I'm super excited, dude.
I'm so ready to rewatch that film.
It's going to be great. So, thanks for tuning in. Unauthorizedpod.com for all inquiries and links to where else we are. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace, man.